Ethan Blake had never seen a planet like Zythera before. From the window of his small shuttle, he could see towering mountains that gleamed like silver under the sunlight. Strange blue rivers ran between forests that seemed alive, moving slowly like a breathing creature. The sky was a deep purple, and the 3 moons hung low, casting a soft light over the land. Ethan had traveled to many worlds, but something about Zythera made his chest tighten. He felt both fear and excitement. He checked his instruments again. Everything was normal. The landing pad was ready. His mission was simple: meet the Queen, Queen Leora, and discuss a possible alliance between Zythera and Earth. Simple, yes, but dangerous. Humans were rare on Zythera, and not all aliens welcomed them. As he stepped out of the shuttle, he felt the wind brush against his face. It carried a strange smell, sweet and sharp at the same time. The ground beneath his boots was soft, almost like walking on moss, but it shimmered slightly in the sunlight. He could hear the sounds of the forest, distant but strange. Birds, or something like birds, called with high-pitched notes, but their wings looked like silver ribbons more than feathers. Ethan adjusted his uniform and walked toward the palace. The building was massive, taller than any human city skyscraper. Its walls were smooth, made of a material he could not identify, reflecting light in rainbow colors. Tall spires reached up into the sky like fingers, and he could see banners with strange symbols fluttering in the wind. Guards, tall and armored, watched him carefully. Their eyes were a bright green, glowing faintly. Ethan forced a calm expression. He knew showing fear would be a mistake. The palace doors opened slowly, making a low sound like a sigh. Ethan stepped inside. The air was cooler here, and the light changed to a soft golden hue. He looked around. The halls were wide and empty, except for statues that seemed almost alive. They depicted alien warriors, queens, and strange creatures he did not recognize. His footsteps echoed softly. Soon, he was greeted by a court advisor. Its eyes were black with small silver flecks, and it spoke in a voice that vibrated slightly, making Ethan feel uneasy. "Captain Ethan Blake," it said, bowing slightly. "The Queen awaits you. Follow me." Ethan nodded and followed. As they walked, he noticed that the palace was alive, with subtle movements. Shadows shifted in ways that seemed unnatural. He felt as if eyes were watching him from every corner, though he could see no one. Finally, they reached the throne room. It was enormous, with ceilings so high he could not see them clearly. At the far end, on a raised platform, sat Queen Leora. She was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Her skin was a pale gold, and her hair flowed like molten silver. She wore a robe that shimmered with colors Ethan could not name. Her eyes, large and violet, studied him carefully. "Welcome, human," she said, her voice smooth but strong. "I have heard much about your kind." Quote, Ethan bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, it is an honor to be here. I hope we can discuss friendship between our worlds." The Queen tilted her head slightly. "Friendship is fragile. It must be earned, not given." Before Ethan could answer, a commotion started near one of the side doors. Guards moved quickly, and whispers filled the room. Ethan glanced toward the source. A young woman had appeared. She was human, like him. But she carried herself with grace and confidence, unlike any human he had ever met. Her hair was dark, her eyes green, and she wore a simple gown that made her stand out among the alien court. No one spoke. The Queen's expression changed, just for a moment, and then she returned to her calm demeanor. But Ethan noticed the shift. Something about this woman made the Queen uneasy. The woman did not approach immediately. She walked slowly, observing the court, the Queen, and finally Ethan. There was a strength in her posture that made Ethan feel both curious and cautious. He had no idea who she was. The court murmured quietly among themselves. Some aliens bowed slightly as she passed. Others just stared. Queen Leora's advisors whispered urgently to one another. The queen raised her hand, and the room fell silent. She studied the woman carefully, her violet eyes wide with emotion. Ethan could see a hint of fear or maybe sorrow in her gaze. He did not understand why. The young woman finally stopped a few feet away from the queen. She bowed her head slightly, a gesture that seemed both respectful and commanding. For a moment, time seemed to pause. Ethan could feel tension in the air, like the calm before a storm. Ethan wanted to speak, to ask who she was, but no words came. He felt small and out of place. This woman, human like him, carried a presence that commanded attention without saying a word. The queen spoke softly, almost to herself. "It cannot be." Her hands trembled slightly. Ethan leaned closer, trying to hear. The advisors stiffened, glancing nervously between the queen and the young woman. The room remained silent, filled only with the soft hum of energy that seemed to flow from the walls. Ethan had faced dangerous creatures before, even fought in wars on other planets. But this felt different. This was not about battle. This was about something deeper, something personal. Finally, the young woman spoke, her voice clear but gentle. "Your Majesty," she said, "I am here to serve, as you once asked." The queen's eyes widened, and tears glistened at the corners. She sank slowly to her knees, unable to stand. Ethan's heart raced. He had never seen a ruler, an alien queen no less, kneel in front of anyone, let alone a human. The room filled with shocked gasps. Ethan stepped forward instinctively, unsure if he should intervene. The young woman, however, knelt slightly and placed a hand near the queen, not touching, just close enough to show respect. She looked at the queen with calm understanding, as if she had been waiting for this moment her whole life. The advisors whispered urgently, "Your Majesty, control yourself." But the queen could not. She wept openly now, her golden skin glistening with tears. The young woman remained still, steady, as if she were the anchor the queen needed. Ethan's mind raced. Who was this woman? Why did she affect the queen so deeply? He thought of the countless histories he had read about alien politics, about royal families and hidden heirs. But nothing explained what he was witnessing. This was real, raw, and beyond his understanding. Finally, the queen's voice broke through her sobs. "Clara, my Clara," she whispered. Ethan froze. Clara. That was her name. Somehow, he knew it was important, though he did not understand why. The young woman, Clara, nodded slightly, her green eyes meeting the queen's violet ones. In that simple glance, Ethan saw love, respect, and a bond deeper than anything he had known. The court remained silent, unsure how to react. Ethan looked around and saw alien nobles shifting uncomfortably. Some were angry, others confused. Yet the moment carried a weight they could not ignore. Ethan realized he was witnessing history. Not a battle, not a treaty, not a war, but a revelation that would change everything. The queen had revealed something personal, and Clara had returned, human and strong, to claim her place. He stepped back, allowing the queen and Clara to remain at the center of the room. For the first time, Ethan understood that some missions were not about politics or strategy. Some were about being present when history unfolded. And in that moment, Ethan Blake knew his life had changed forever. He had come to Zythera as a visitor, a diplomat, a soldier, but he would leave, knowing he had seen the meeting of two worlds in the most unexpected way. A queen kneeling, a princess revealed, and a human heart that beat with courage, even on a distant planet. Ethan watched as Clara helped the queen rise. There was no ceremony, no announcement, only quiet understanding. The queen's tears had stopped, but her eyes were still filled with emotion. Clara's presence had healed something deep, something the court could not see but everyone felt. The first part of Ethan's journey on Zythera was over. The first step into a story that would test his courage, his understanding, and his loyalty. And at the center of it all stood Clara, the human princess he did not yet fully understand, but who would change everything about this alien world. After the first shocking meeting in the throne room, Ethan Blake found it difficult to sleep that night. He stayed in the guest chambers of the palace, staring out of the tall window at the purple sky. The moons of Zythera hung low, casting a silver glow across the forested valleys. Ethan could still see the shimmering rivers and towering mountains. The beauty of the planet did not calm his thoughts. Instead, he kept thinking about Clara, the young woman who had so unexpectedly appeared before the queen. Her presence had changed everything. The queen, who had been so strong and untouchable, had knelt and wept, and Clara had remained calm, steady, as if she had been expecting that moment for her whole life. Ethan could not imagine how a human could hold such power over an alien ruler. He tried to recall the stories of royal families, hidden heirs, and secret lineages he had studied during his career, but nothing matched what he had seen. The next morning, Ethan dressed quickly and went to meet Clara. He had learned from a cautious guard that she stayed in a small wing of the palace, separate from the main court. Her rooms were simple, almost bare, yet elegant. As he approached, he noticed the doors open slightly. Clara was standing near the window, looking out at the gardens below. She wore a plain dress, but even in that simplicity, she radiated authority and calm. "Good morning," Ethan said softly, stepping inside. Clara turned her green eyes toward him. "Good morning, Captain Blake," she replied. Her voice was calm, but there was a faint sadness in it. "I did not expect you so early." "I couldn't sleep," Ethan admitted. "I keep thinking about yesterday, about the Queen." Clara nodded slowly. "I know. It is not easy for her to show weakness. She has ruled Zythera for decades, and now, she must face the truth she tried to hide for so long." Ethan studied her carefully. "The truth? Do you mean that you are related to her?" Clara smiled faintly. "Yes. I am her granddaughter. I was taken as a child to protect me from enemies. No one on Zythera knew of my existence until yesterday. Not even the advisors." Ethan's eyes widened. "You were taken? By whom?" Clara shook her head. "I do not know. I remember fragments, a ship, a crash, strange lights. I was raised on this planet, among humans, but hidden. I learned their ways, but I never knew my true place until now." Ethan took a deep breath. The story was incredible. A human princess raised in secret on an alien world, returning to her family after so many years. "And the Queen? She recognized you immediately?" "Yes," Clara said softly. "She felt me before she even spoke. It is hard to explain. Blood, memory, something older than words." Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine. He had faced many dangerous creatures, many hostile aliens, but nothing like this. This was more than politics or war. This was a family, hidden for decades, coming together in a way that changed the course of history. Clara turned from the window and walked toward him. "You must understand, Captain Blake. I am not here as a guest. I am here to take my place when the time comes. And the time may come sooner than anyone expects." Ethan nodded slowly. "Then you will need allies. Not just the Queen, but the court, the advisors, even the people." Clara's eyes sparkled. "Yes, that is why I need to learn everything quickly. And that is why I need someone like you." "Me?" Ethan asked, surprised. You understand humans, and humans understand you, Clara said. You can help me navigate both worlds. Ethan hesitated. He had come to Zythera as a diplomat, not a mentor or protector of a hidden princess. But he could see her determination. She was not afraid. In fact, she seemed stronger than anyone he had met in years. I will help you, he said finally. But it will not be easy. There are those in the court who will oppose you. Some may even try to remove you before you can prove yourself. Clara nodded. I expected that. I am ready. Their conversation was interrupted by a soft chime. A young alien servant entered the room, bowing respectfully. Princess Clara, the Queen requests your presence in the council chamber. She wishes to discuss matters of the court and your position. Clara nodded. Thank you, she said to the servant, and then turned to Ethan. Will you come with me? Ethan followed her through the palace corridors. The halls seemed quieter than the day before. The soft hum of energy in the walls was still present, but the tension was different. It was not fear, this time. It was anticipation. When they entered the council chamber, the room fell silent. The alien advisors and nobles were gathered, their faces unreadable. Some looked angry, some curious, some fearful. At the far end, Queen Leora sat in her throne, her violet eyes fixed on Clara. She no longer wept, but her expression was still filled with emotion. Clara, the Queen said, her voice steady but soft. You have returned to us. Tell me, what do you wish? Clara took a deep breath. I wish to understand my place. I wish to learn the ways of Zythera, and I wish to serve this world, as you taught me to serve family and people. A murmur ran through the council. One of the older nobles, tall and sharp-eyed, spoke first. A human. A child raised in secret. How can she understand our ways? How can she rule when she has lived apart from us? Clara did not flinch. I have lived among humans, yes, but I have learned about Zythera as well. I have observed your customs, your people, your laws. I am ready to learn more. But I will also bring what I have learned from the human world's innovation, courage, new ways of thinking. That can only help Zythera. The chamber was quiet. Some advisors whispered among themselves, clearly unsure how to respond. The Queen finally spoke. Clara's return is not only a matter of blood, but of destiny. She must be allowed to find her way. She is our future. The noble who had spoken first scowled. Blood does not always mean understanding. Tradition is stronger than words. If we allow a human to influence the court, what will happen to our people? Ethan stepped forward. Tradition is important, he said carefully. But the world is changing. Clara has proven herself brave, calm, and wise. She has the heart of a leader. If you oppose her without reason, you risk losing more than you gain. Some advisors looked at Ethan with surprise. A human speaking in a court full of aliens was unusual, but his words carried weight. Clara's eyes softened slightly. She was grateful for his support but did not rely on it completely. The Queen nodded slowly. Very well. We will begin her education immediately. She will meet with each department, learn our history, our laws, and our technology. She will observe and participate, but she will also have freedom to bring her own ideas. The council murmured, some reluctantly agreeing. The session ended with Clara and Ethan leaving the chamber. Outside, in the palace gardens, the young woman paused to breathe. This will not be easy, Ethan said quietly. Some will try to block you at every step. Clara smiled faintly. I expected that, but I have seen what fear can do to people, and I have learned that courage and truth can overcome it. Ethan watched her. She seemed so calm, so certain of herself. He wondered if he had ever met anyone like her on any planet. Over the next days, Ethan accompanied Clara through the palace. She met with scholars who taught her about Zythera's history, military leaders who explained strategies and defenses, and even common citizens who told her about their daily lives. Clara listened carefully to every word, asked questions, and observed everything. She was quick to learn, but more importantly, she showed empathy and understanding. One evening, they walked along the palace walls, overlooking the city below. The lights of Zythera glowed softly, and the wind carried a strange, sweet scent. "Do you think they will accept me?" Clara asked quietly. Ethan looked at her. "Some will resist, yes, but those who see your heart and your courage will follow. You have something rare. Humans often underestimate it, but it is real. You inspire trust." Clara smiled faintly. "Thank you, Ethan. I will do my best. For the Queen, for Zythera, and for all who live here." Ethan nodded. He knew her journey had only begun. Challenges lay ahead. Political plots, rivals in the court, and dangers from outside the planet. But he also knew one thing clearly. Clara was not just a human in an alien world. She was something greater, a bridge between worlds, and a force that could change Zythera forever. That night, as Ethan returned to his quarters, he felt a strange mix of hope and fear. He had come to Zythera as a diplomat, but now he was part of something larger, a story of courage, family, and destiny. And at the center of it stood Clara, the human princess, ready to face whatever came next. The next morning, the palace was alive with movement. Clara walked through the halls with Ethan by her side, her steps confident and calm. Today, she would meet the military leaders of Zythera. She had learned much about the history, the laws, and the culture of the planet. But she knew that understanding the army was critical. The people trusted soldiers, and the military controlled much of the power on Zythera. As they entered the training grounds, Clara paused. Hundreds of soldiers were practicing drills, their movements precise and disciplined. Their armor shimmered in the sunlight, and their weapons looked strange to Ethan, but he understood their purpose. Clara watched silently, noticing every detail. She did not speak at first. She wanted to see the soldiers, understand them before trying to connect. A tall, broad-shouldered officer stepped forward. His armor was dark blue with silver edges, and his eyes were sharp and calculating. "Princess Clara," he said, bowing slightly. "I am Commander Talon. I lead the First Guard. If you wish to learn, I will show you what our soldiers can do." Clara nodded politely. "Thank you, Commander Talon. I want to understand not just the training, but the spirit of your people. I want to know what makes a soldier of Zythera strong, brave, and loyal." The commander raised an eyebrow, impressed by her words. "Very well. Observe." The soldiers performed drills, moving with speed and precision. Some wielded energy weapons that pulsed with light, while others used hand-to-hand combat techniques Clara had never seen. Yet she noticed something deeper: discipline, trust, and unity. Clara turned to Ethan quietly. "They are strong and loyal, but loyalty comes from fear sometimes. I must earn their trust, not just rely on my bloodline." Ethan nodded. "You are right. And I think you can. Humans have a way of connecting with others that even aliens sometimes do not understand." After the drills, Clara spoke to the soldiers. Her voice was calm but firm. "I may be new, and I may not have trained among you, but I am here to protect this world, its people, and its traditions. I will learn from you, and I will respect your strength. Together, we can make Zythera stronger." There was silence at first. Some soldiers looked skeptical, while others whispered to one another. Then Commander Talon stepped forward. "Princess Clara, your words are unusual, but they carry weight. We will see if your actions match them." Clara nodded. She knew it was only a beginning. Words could inspire, but actions proved loyalty and courage. Over the next days, Clara trained with the soldiers. She learned the weapons, the strategies, and even how to lead a small group. She was quick to understand, but more importantly, she treated everyone with respect. Soldiers began to notice her determination and calm presence. Slowly, walls of suspicion began to break. Meanwhile, the court grew restless. Not all advisors and nobles accepted Clara's return. Some whispered that a human had no place in Zythera's royal line. Others feared that her ideas, influenced by Earth, could disrupt centuries of tradition. One evening, Ethan and Clara attended a council meeting. The room was tense. Advisors argued quietly, their voices low but sharp. "You cannot allow her to influence our laws," one advisor said, his tone harsh. "She is human. She has lived among humans, and they will bring chaos to our ways." Clara spoke calmly. "I am here to learn, yes, but I am also here to serve. My goal is not to disrupt, but to improve. I have seen worlds where courage, creativity, and respect for all people make the difference. I wish to bring that to Zythera, not to destroy it." The queen observed silently, her expression unreadable. Some nobles whispered to one another, unsure how to respond. Ethan noticed a subtle change. Clara's words, simple and honest, were slowly winning respect. Over the following weeks, Clara's influence grew quietly. She visited schools and factories, observing the daily lives of citizens. She spoke to teachers, workers, and children. Her questions were thoughtful, her interest genuine. People began to trust her, even those who had doubted her. One afternoon, Ethan and Clara walked through the central marketplace. The streets were filled with aliens of all shapes and sizes, selling goods, chatting, and moving about their daily lives. Clara stopped at a small stall where a child was selling fruit. "Hello," she said gently. "What is your name?" "Wid." The child looked surprised, but replied, "I am Lyra, princess." Clara smiled. "It is nice to meet you, Lyra. How are things in your home?" Quote. Lyra explained that her family struggled to get enough food, and some children could not go to school because their parents worked long hours. Clara listened carefully, nodding. She took note of the problems, making mental plans to help. As they walked, Ethan whispered, "You are already changing their hearts, Clara. They see you care, and that matters more than words or power." Clara smiled softly. "I hope so. I want them to trust that I am here for them, not just for the throne or for the queen." Back in the palace, challenges continued. A group of nobles formed a secret alliance to oppose Clara. They met at night, planning to undermine her influence, spread rumors, and even block her access to the council. Clara and Ethan learned about these plots through careful observation. "We cannot fight them with anger," Clara said quietly. "We must be smarter. We will show them through action, through wisdom, and through fairness." Ethan nodded. "You are right. Humans often fight, but your way, it is stronger." One evening, a challenge arrived. Commander Talon came to Clara's chambers with a message. "Princess, a rival faction has requested a formal duel of leadership. They claim it will prove who is worthy to guide the people." Clara's eyes widened slightly. "A duel? They want to test me. With their rules?" "Yes," Talon said. "It is tradition. Refusing would look weak, but participating carries risk. You must be careful." Clara nodded thoughtfully. "I will participate, but I will not fight with anger. I will fight with intelligence, patience, and truth." Ethan watched her. "You are brave, but this is dangerous. They underestimate you." Clara smiled faintly. "Let them underestimate me. That is their mistake." The day of the duel arrived. Citizens gathered in the central arena, curious and excited. The alien nobles watched from elevated seats, their expressions guarded. Clara entered calmly, accompanied by Ethan and Commander Talon. Her opponent, a tall, fierce alien named Varys, stood ready. The duel was not only physical. It tested strategy, wisdom, and leadership. Varys moved quickly, using strength and agility. Clara responded with careful observation, predicting his moves, adapting, and using the environment to her advantage. She did not rely on raw strength but on cleverness and insight. The crowd watched in silence. Each move Clara made was precise and thoughtful. She anticipated, redirected, and guided. Varys became frustrated, trying harder, but failing to match her intelligence. Finally, Clara performed a maneuver that forced Varys to yield. The crowd erupted in applause. The queen watched from her seat, tears glistening in her eyes again. Clara had proven herself, not with anger or force, but with wisdom and courage. Even those who opposed her began to respect her. After the duel, Ethan approached Clara. "You did it. They cannot ignore you now." Clara nodded. "It is only the beginning. Others will test me, challenge me, and doubt me, but I am ready." That night, Clara reflected on her journey. She had learned much about Sci-fi, its people, and its traditions. She had faced opposition and won respect, but she knew the path ahead was still long. She would need allies, understanding, and courage to face the true challenges that awaited. Ethan sat beside her quietly. "You are extraordinary, Clara. Not because of your blood, but because of your heart. You are building trust, not fear." "That is true. Strength." Clara smiled faintly. "Thank you, Ethan. I could not do this without your guidance. Together, we will help Sci-fi, not as humans or aliens, but as people who care." The palace was quiet, but the city outside was alive with whispers. Clara's name spread, her actions inspiring hope. People began to believe that a new era was possible, a time when courage, wisdom, and compassion mattered more than tradition alone. And at the center of it all, Clara stood firm, ready to face whatever challenges came next. With Ethan by her side, learning, guiding, and supporting. The story of the human princess was only beginning, and Sci-fi would never be the same again.